Welcome to the Box Cutters and Sharp Hand Tools training. You may be rolling your eyes right about now. You're probably thinking, box cutter training? Really? I learned about this stuff in kindergarten. And yet, you'd be surprised at the number of injuries that occur in the workplace every year due to the improper use of box cutters and other sharp hand tools. These injuries are preventable with proper training and by adhering to basic safety precautions. The focus of this training is the safe use of sharp hand tools such as box cutters, utility knives, scissors, razors, hand saws, pruners, chisels, and snips, just to name a few. It does not cover power tools such as electric saws or drills. The first step in preventing incidents and injuries is to identify the potential hazards of working with a sharp hand tool. Of course, the most obvious hazards associated with any sharp objects are cuts, stabs, and puncture wounds. Some commonly overlooked dangers of working with sharp hand tools are muscle, joint, or ligament injuries, especially if using a tool repetitively for an extended period, using the wrong tool, or using the right tool improperly. Eye injuries are also a possibility, whether from flying debris or a blade that breaks from applying too much pressure. If impact cutting tools, such as chisels, have mushroomed heads, the heads might shatter on impact, sending sharp fragments flying toward the user or other employees. Iron or steel hand tools may produce sparks that can be an ignition source. Where flammable gases, highly volatile liquids, and other explosive substances are stored or used, spark-resistant tools made of non-ferrous materials, such as brass or aluminum, should be used. Basic safety precautions and procedures that we will discuss in this training can prevent all these hazards. Before beginning any cutting task, take the time to consider the requirements of the job. Be sure to use the right tool. For example, a screwdriver should never be used in place of a chisel, and you should use a box cutter to open boxes, not scissors or gardening shears. First, think about what type of material you will be cutting. Consider the size, thickness, and weight of the material. A large piece of heavy cardboard will require a more substantial blade than a small piece of paper, just as a 1-inch thick branch will require heavier shears than a small rose bush. Now look at the size of your workspace. Select a tool that can be used within the space available while keeping your wrists straight. Your employer is responsible for providing safe tools and equipment for you to use. Inspect your tools daily before use. Blades and points should be kept sharp. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for sharpening or changing dull blades if applicable. Be sure to dispose of used blades in a puncture-resistant container. Tools shouldn't be dirty or rusty. Handles should be smooth, intact, and splinter-free. If you encounter a dull, damaged, or broken tool, tag it out of service and report it to your employer. Depending on the task at hand and the tool in question, personal protective equipment may be required or recommended when using box cutters or other sharp hand tools. Discuss with your supervisor when you need to wear safety glasses, fitted gloves, and/or cut-resistant clothing and footwear. Now that you've selected the appropriate tool and have donned the proper personal protective equipment, you're ready to get to work. Follow these general safety precautions when performing cutting tasks. Assess your workspace. Keep work areas clean and tidy to prevent trips and slips while handling sharp tools. Make sure the area is clear of other people. Secure the object to be cut to avoid slippage. Maintain secure footing and a good grip on the tool. Always be sure to cut away from the body. When cutting with one hand, keep your other hand out of the way and in view at all times. If you drop a cutting tool, do not attempt to catch it. Move your body, legs, and feet clear of the falling tool and let it hit the ground. And do not apply excessive force to any cutting tool. Transporting and storing box cutters and other sharp hand tools safely requires extra care and attention. If possible, retract or sheath the blade completely before moving the tool to another area or storing it. If not, carry sharp tools with the blade pointing down and away from your body. Never carry cutting tools in your pocket. Instead, use a tool belt, apron, toolbox, or bucket. toss a sharp tool to a coworker, cautiously hand the tool to the other worker handle first with the blade pointing down. When not in use, sharp tools should be stored in a sturdy toolbox or on a tool rack with the blade covered. When laying a tool on a tool bench, the handle should be kept away from the edge and the blade should point away from the edge. Special care must be taken when working with sharp tools in elevated areas, such as scaffolds or platforms. Use a bucket or hand line to raise and lower sharp tools to and from the working surface instead of carrying them up a ladder. Cutting tools shouldn't be left lying around an elevated working space for obvious reasons. They could cause someone to trip and fall from the elevated area, or seriously injure someone below if the tool itself were to fall. Ergonomics is the study of fitting a job to a person to improve efficiency and comfort. Some box cutters and sharp hand tools are advertised as ergonomic or are designed with ergonomic features. Keep in mind that a tool becomes ergonomic only when it fits the task you are performing, and it fits your hand without causing awkward postures, harmful contact pressures, or other safety and health risks. If a tool feels uncomfortable or creates painful pressure, choose a different but equally suitable tool for the job. Whenever possible, choose a cutting tool that requires the least continuous force and can be used without an uncomfortable grip or awkward postures. Continuous force, an uncomfortable grip, and awkward postures make more demands on your body and increase the likelihood of injury. Muscle, joint, and ligament injuries can be prevented by using proper ergonomics principles when cutting with box cutters or other sharp hand tools. Hold the tool you selected using the appropriate grip. Different grips are suitable for different tools. It's always best to have clean, dry hands or gloves so that you can have the best grip possible on the tool. Also take into account the grip span. This is the distance between the thumb and fingers when the tool jaws are open or closed. Open grip span for cutting should not be more than 3.5 inches. Closed grip span should not be less than 2 inches. The pinch grip is used to hold small precision tools, such as scissors or box cutters, between the index finger and thumb. Repeated use of the pinch grip may cause hand or wrist injuries and can also cause contact stress on the fingers. Try to avoid overusing the pinch grip if possible. For example, instead of scissors, you could use ergonomic snippers that spring back without operator force to promote neutral joint postures and minimize contact stresses. A power grip can be described as wrapping all the fingers and the thumb around the object that is being gripped. It is sometimes described as making a fist around an object. A power grip uses the muscles of the hand and forearm effectively and is less stressful than a pinch grip. The power grip can be used for many cutting tools, including hand saws. A two-hand power grip can be used for tools such as large shears. Recommended working postures describe body positions that are neutral and comfortable to use. Using postures other than those recommended will generally waste energy and motion, as well as potentially raise the risk of injury. It's also important to change position frequently and stretch between tasks. This improves circulation and lessens fatigue. The following pages will present guidelines for each part of the body to assume a neutral posture while performing cutting tasks. Keep the shoulders relaxed, not shrugged up or slumped down. Keep your elbows close to your body. Keep work at about elbow height. Avoid situations that require twisting the neck or bending it forward, backward, or to the side. Keep the hands straight and in line with the forearms. Avoid twisting your hands and bending your wrists. Avoid working with your wrists pressed against sharp or hard edges. Stand straight. Avoid situations that require bending forward or backward, leaning to the side, or twisting. A sit-stand stool will allow for changes in posture. For work performed while sitting, a backrest will help maintain proper posture. Placing a foot on a footrest or other support will promote comfort. Stand close to counters. This can reduce reaching. Good quality anti-fatigue mats reduce back and leg fatigue when standing for long periods. Performing work within the best and preferred work zone shown below facilitates productivity and comfort. Work is safest when cutting and reaching are performed in these zones. Working outside these work zones results in non-neutral postures that may increase the risk of injury. The following are the guidelines for the preferred work zone. As far forward as your hand when you hold your arm out straight. A foot on either side of the shoulders. Upper level at shoulder height. Lower level at tip of fingers with hands held at the side. The following are the guidelines for the best work zone. As far forward as your wrist when you hold your arm slightly bent. As wide as the shoulders. Upper level at about heart height. Lower level at about waist height. In some cases, the placement of the workpiece to be cut will affect your shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or back posture. It may be necessary to change your position to achieve neutral working postures. For example, if you have to raise your shoulders and elbows to cut while sitting, stand up. If you must raise your shoulders and elbows to complete a cutting task while standing, reposition your workpiece or work on a lower surface. Simply moving or adjusting the item to be cut can create a neutral work posture and alleviate needless stress. If you follow the safety guidelines you've learned here at work, first aid should be completely unnecessary. Nevertheless, your employer should keep an adequately stocked first aid kit readily available for minor cuts or scratches. Per OSHA, first aid for these types of injuries is limited to cleaning, flushing, or soaking wounds on the surface of the skin and using wound coverings such as bandages, band-aids, gauze pads, butterfly bandages, or steri-strips, etc. If debris from cutting gets in an eye, have the patient pull the upper eyelid over the lower eyelid to try to remove the debris. If that doesn't work, run plain water over the eye. If the object does not wash out, cover both eyes with a gauze dressing and seek medical attention promptly. Do not rub the eye. If an object such as a broken box cutter blade is embedded in an eye, do not try to remove it or apply pressure. Gently apply loose sterile dressing over both eyes and seek medical help immediately. Don't underestimate the danger of working with box cutters and other sharp hand tools. Play it safe when it comes to performing cutting tasks on the job. Remember Benjamin Franklin's wise words, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.